Welcome back, and we're going to talk about a very DBT unique skill. I will kind of go over what it's about, and as you well know, the way I teach DBT is definitely using traditional DBT, but also mixing innovative and some lots of examples. So I'll kind of give a lot to this because I think when teaching in person, it got a little confusing, and I will admit that I think the way sort of the initial book describes it could feel kind of judgmental and often was a little off-putting when I did in person DBT. So I will explain it, but it is a good skill and it's about recognizing willingness versus willfulness. So I will start with the way it is initially described and described online and a lot of other things, and this cringe is because it's a little uncomfortable, is willingness is kind of more go with the flow, and willfulness is kind of, and I'll use the term that is used, I don't use this term normally, but there's a reason, is that it's sort of bratty, it's sticking your heels and refusing to do something, and the idea is to be more willing and less willful. And once again, in person, reading through the book and stuff, people didn't feel super comfortable, or they felt like that was kind of mean, or that there's a reason that they are not wanting to participate in something, and it was a little controversial at times. So I will kind of talk about the skill from going to willful to willing and kind of look at it from a slightly different lens with no judgment at all about where you are, and of course without that kind of judgmental language, or really any kind of language around kind of what that might look like, or how that might actually be judged by other people. So willingness is accepting what is, it's agreeing to participate in the world, in the things around you. And willfulness is about kind of being stubborn and not being open to it. So an example is if there is a project for school and your professor or teacher says, hey everyone, we're going to work in teams, I'm going to assign the teams, puts you with a team, 4 people total. It's you and 3 people in your class. Maybe you don't really know them well, maybe you don't really like them, or vice versa. It's not necessarily the most comfortable group of people you would choose, and you have 2 weeks to finish this project. If you are willing, you will walk into the situation and you might still have the thoughts of, oh, not these people. Oh, that guy, he's so rude. She never comes to class. I might be holding the whole weight. Or the topic we got is like so much harder than everybody else's. It's not, it's not fair, but also willing is walking into the situation, accepting I don't really have much of a choice. This is an important class. This is an important grade that I need. This will help me in my career potentially. I will agree to participate in this. I will exchange phone numbers or email addresses with my counterparts. This isn't the topic that I would choose, but I'm going to go to the library and start learning more about this topic, and sort of maybe I need to take the lead or see how things work out and kind of delegate or see who delegates, and we will complete the project in 2 weeks. And I'm going to participate. I'm going to accept this is the group of people I'm doing the project with. Willfulness would be going to the professor or the teacher and saying, I can't work with these people. We have an unfair topic. Everyone else got an easier topic than me. It might be going to the group and walking over after you get put in a group and saying, I don't like you. It could be saying, I'm not doing this. It could be saying, I'm not going to be taking charge again. I'm not going to be the one that does all the work around here. I know you don't show up to class. It could also be the thoughts, kind of walking in with negativity and rolling your eyes or having your arms like this and thinking, ugh, and kind of posturing as if you're not being accepting, you're not accepting, you're not agreeing to participate. And those are very sort of dramatic dialects, different positions, and you might think, oh, I don't do that, but that's kind of an example of what that could look like, and maybe an extreme example. But even the mental of like, she's not going to do any work, and he doesn't ever come to class, and that other person, the third person in my group, she doesn't even speak. How's she going to get in front of the class? And whatever you might be thinking, that's willfulness. That is kind of not going along with what it is. And willingness versus willfulness is also not about toxic people or putting yourself in danger. If your friends or somebody asks you to do something or participate in something and you are like adamant that that does not feel comfortable for you for whatever reason, this is not a skill about kind of forcing you to do anything that you are not comfortable or does not feel safe. So I want to also put that out there. So there is 4 steps about how to go from willfulness to willingness. And sometimes you might not even notice that willfulness. I think a lot of times, sort of even in personal, professional life, you kind of don't realize like you're kind of being stubborn or being maybe even petty would be a way of being willful. You think maybe it's like funny, or you're thinking like if I just avoid the email, it'll go away, or if I, kind of brush this under or, ignore. And that also is a version of willfulness. So it's not necessarily that going to the, instructor and saying, I'm not doing that. It could be sitting in a meeting like this the whole time. It could be being on your phone when you aren't really supposed to, or rolling your eyes, or, complaining about a project and spending 10 hours complaining about it to friends and an hour doing the work. That's still kind of willfulness. You're going along with it, but you're being really willful about it, and you could maybe put more attention to the project or spend your time doing something else. So the ways to go from willfulness to willingness is, 1, to notice, just to recognize like I'm being kind of stubborn, or like my posture is I'm walking into this group of people to work on a project. Even though I have a lot of feelings about this, and maybe in the past this has gone really terrible, but I'm here, I'm present, I'm going to be open to it, and just walking into it. So just noticing could be taking a deep breath about a situation. It could be doing a mindfulness or relaxation before you enter a difficult situation. And then accepting this is it. I am doing a project with these 3 people that I may have feelings about, that I may have judgments on, that may or may not be accurate, and just accepting like, okay, this is the project. We got a difficult topic, but I'm going to make it work. And then 3 is turning the mind, which is a skill we just covered. So reorienting back to center. The task at hand is getting everyone's email addresses today and setting up a follow-up. We only have 2 weeks to do this project. It's a big undertaking. It is not something that I know much about currently. So let's sit down while we have the time, exchange phone numbers or email addresses, and let's start divvying up work or diving into how are we going to do this giant project. And turning the mind, once again, isn't just a one-time switch. It is a constant back to focus. I'm going to do it. And I'm really going to do it. And then, so turning the mind, and then a willing posture. So what is a willing posture? This is not a willing posture. This is not a willing posture. It doesn't necessarily mean that you walk to this group of people and you give them a big ol' hug and you act like you're the best friend either. But just going in without your hands at your hips or without your arms crossed, just walking in sort of open to whatever it is, whether it's a group project, whether it's something at work, whether it's a family thing that it's a safe place to be at, but it's not ideal, but it's somebody's birthday or an anniversary or a wedding, and you're, going to be friendly to family members that maybe you're not friendly to you. And rather than spend the whole time willful sitting in the corner, not enjoying yourself, you want to engage. This sounds fun. You haven't seen this other family member in a while. You want to reconnect. You want to get good photos. You want to wish your cousin well in the wedding and in the marriage, and you're sort of a little torn maybe about something like, I could do this or I could do that. So willingness might mean that the wedding is a little bit more fun, that you reconnect with people, that you have a good time, that you dance or eat good food. So willing posture, not having your hands crossed. Once again, it's not about being somebody's best friend, but just looking more open. Willing posture is sort of hands at the sides, looking relaxed, looking open to feedback. If somebody at the table says, hey, can you take on this portion? You maybe not necessarily always accepting it, but you accepting the possibility. Actually, this is kind of, maybe we can break this up into 2 pieces. It's not, willingness is also not about going with the flow to the point that you end up all the way out to shore and don't do self-care or stretch yourself too thin or accept every invite that comes your way either. But willingness is about kind of taking the stream where the stream goes, assuming it's a safe stream, and being of good posture. So the 4 steps to willingness to willfulness is noticing it, accepting it, turning your mind and then moving to a willing posture, which is an open posture of acceptance, of conversation, of looking like you are willing to engage and interact with what you need to be effective in the moment. So that is the DBT skill of willingness versus willfulness.